Hello. Hello. Here we are. It's Bhagavad Gita time. And we are going through Swami Rama's discussion on chapter 16 of the Bhagavad Gita. Of course, symbolic of day number 16 of the teachings, where Arjuna is the student and Krishna is the symbolic teacher. And hi, Scott. And so with that, let me go ahead and start going through this. Hi, Rosalind. There's Roz. And so here we go. The destiny of the sages and of the ignorant. Who else do we have here? Hello, Anjin. The destiny of the sages and of the ignorant. The blessed Lord Krishna said, I think I just saw something else. Let me go see if that's somebody else there. It's Raj. Hi, Raj. Raj says, hi, all. Hi, all. We call that all y'all, Raj. Hi, all y'all. All y'all. A-L-L-Y apostrophe A-L-L. Hi, y'all. All y'all. All y'all. See, let me try that. See if I can. There. There we go. Hi, all y'all. I think that's the way that it's pronounced in Southern language. Said playfully, of course. Yeah, there you go. All right. It doesn't matter. The point was made anyway. But anyway, the blessed Lord said to all y'all, fearlessness, purity of mind, stability in the yoga of knowledge, charity, control, sacrificial observance, self-study, asceticism, and simplicity, non-violence, truth, non-anger, selflessness, peace, and non-gossiping, kindness toward all beings, non-greediness, mildness, modesty, non-fickleness, brilliance of confidence, forgiveness, sustenance, purity, non-animosity, not seeking of honor. These appear in one who is high-born in divine wealth, O descendant of Bharata. Swami Rama says, it is important to cultivate the qualities that make one's path easy and smooth. Without certain qualities, the stumbling blocks, obstacles, and barriers cannot be removed. For some, the path is clear. Wait, I just lost my place. For some, the path is clear, but for others, it is full of obstructions. Those who are endowed with good qualities find their path to be easy, whereas those who do not cultivate good qualities constantly create difficulties for themselves. So it's something we all can keep an eye on ourselves. When do we start to create difficulties? All follow one and the same path to the light of lights. Interesting comment, isn't it? All follow one and the same path to the light of lights. And there's an orientation in this. Some people look at the Bhagavad Gita and says, Krishna is outlining different paths. And here is Jnana Yoga, here is Raja Yoga, here is Bhakti Yoga, etc. Here are the different yogas. But there's another view on the Bhagavad Gita that says, now this is my way of saying it, wait a minute, there's only one Krishna who is the teacher, and there's only one student on the battlefield of life, and his name is Arjuna. So it's not that Krishna is saying, Arjuna, you may do this, or you may do this, or you may do this. He's saying rather do this, and do this, and do this, and do this. So here's this sentence: all follow one and the same path. What is that path? It's to the light of lights. The light of lights is a way of saying it. But each person creates his own problems, confrontations, and obstacles along the path. Preparation is important before one begins to tread the path of light. To light the fire, one must first gather the scattered twigs of those thoughts, desires, and emotions that dissipate his energy and rob him of dignity, courage, willpower, strength, and love. These qualities are virtues and their opposites vices. We all have the capacity to cultivate virtue, to replace vices with qualities that are genuinely needed to tread the path. That's kind of good news, isn't it? We all can do this, is the suggestion. Every human being is endowed with strength that needs to be understood and applied before he prepares himself for the voyage to the unknown. Among all qualities, fearlessness is the first and foremost. Purity of heart is another quality. Consistency in pursuing the knowledge that helps the aspirant in the inward journey is another virtue that needs to be cultivated. These qualities lead the aspirant to generosity and the attainment of self-control. They help him learn to give and to study his spiritual progress and the teachings of the sages. The practice of austerity and straightforwardness is also essential in preparing to tread the path. The aspirant should cultivate and develop these qualities and learn to express them in his daily life. Whatever good is practiced or attained should be applied in one's daily life through both speech and action. The practice of ahimsa, non-injury, helps one to express his love to his fellow beings and fellow creatures. And the practice of non-lying with mind, action, and speech leads one to realization of the truth. When the aspirant gives up all selfish desires, he finds that agitation and anger also disappear. Gladly and joyfully offering the fruits of actions to others leads one to evenness. Those who are not slanderous and have compassion for all beings, who do not usurp others' wealth and property, who are gentle and abstain from harmful deeds, and who are always steady, are indeed on the path. Courageous, they always forgive others, hate none, and are without pride and arrogance. These are the qualities necessary to tread the path of spirituality. They're not the outcome of treading the path, they're the necessary prerequisites, so to speak. The students should remember that on the path of spirituality, these essentials are means to make his journey easy and smooth. Pretty cool, huh? Next, we have hypocrisy, pride, seeking of honor, anger, harshness, as well as ignorance. These occur in the one born to demonic wealth. Pretty strong translation word, demonic, isn't it? You are the architect of your own destiny, says Swami Rama. You are the composer of the songs that you sing. You are the surveyor of all that you survey. You are the redeemer of your life. Your destiny is created by you. A man who suffers as a result of hypocrisy, pride, vanity, anger, and arrogance, and who shows off is an ignorant man. He constantly creates misery through his self-conceit. The qualities he possesses are of a demonic nature and lead him to darkness. I would suggest that all of us listen to these carefully, not to put ourselves in one pot or the other and say either I'm one extreme or the other, but rather to notice in ourselves that we each share a mixture of these inclinations. And if we can do that, then we can use our wisdom to cultivate the ones that are useful. Yoga therapy and training teach a definite and profound way to replace demonic qualities with the spiritual qualities that are the necessary means to pursue the path of knowledge. There is no such training program offered by modern therapists and psychologists. And I would add here, yoga teacher training programs, if I may take the liberty of a little bit of sarcasm, which I admit. Modern psychology does not focus on the whole being or on helping one to set up a training program for self-transformation. Modern psychology is still learning to understand the cause of suffering, whereas yoga psychology has discovered the means and methods for self-transformation. The divine wealth leads to freedom, says Krishna. The demonic way is known to lead to bondage. Grieve not, you are born to divine wealth, O Pandava, speaking to Arjuna. And so are we all. Cultivating good qualities gives one the essential means to follow the path of knowledge, light, and spirituality. It is the means to attain freedom. But those who are not awakened and are not aware of spirituality do not cultivate the necessary means and qualities. They remain in bondage. Here are two important points. The first is that good thoughts, good deeds, and good actions are never lost. The aspirant who has trodden the path of spirituality before is endowed with good qualities by birth. Such a student finds the path easy. The second point is that the teacher should make his students aware of their creative aspect and of the qualities that are healthy and helpful in the path of self-unfoldment. Somebody is there. Must be a Joe.
You're psychic.
I'm so psychic. It's a Joe. Arjuna is made aware that he is endowed with good qualities by birth. And here comes a bunch more a lot coming from Krishna. There are two kinds of created beings in this world, the divine and the demonic. That's a strong word, isn't it? Demonic. But it carries the spirit of it, doesn't it? The divine has been explained in detail. Now hear about the demonic from me, O son of Pritha. Demonic people know neither right conduct nor prohibition. In them there is neither purity, nor character, nor truth. Let me see if there's any comment over here. No, still Raj saying hi, all y'all. They say that the world is untrue, without foundation, and godless, that it is produced only through sexual union, and that it has no cause other than what comes from passion. Blocked by this vision, their true nature destroyed, those of little intelligence doing fearsome acts come into power as malefactors for the world. Resorting to passion and desire, which is difficult to fulfill, possessed of hypocrisy, seeking honor and frenzy, they of impure observances operate, seizing upon false holdings out of delusion. They have recourse only to immeasurable worry that goes on until disillusion. They are certain that the enjoyment of passions is supreme, that it is everlasting. Bound by 100 snares of expectation, intent upon passion and anger, they undertake the gathering of wealth by injustice for the purpose of enjoying passions. This I have received today. This wish of mine I shall gain later. This I have, and this wealth shall yet be mine. That enemy I have killed. Others too I shall destroy. I am sovereign. I am enjoyer. I am accomplished, strong, happy. I am rich. I have influential relations. Who else is equal to me? I shall perform sacrifices. I shall enjoy myself. Thus deluded in ignorance, confused by the many divisions in their minds, covered by the net of delusion, stuck in the enjoyment of passions, they fall into the impure and lowly place. Pretty clearly, strongly stated, isn't it? Holding high opinion of themselves, lacking humility, possessed of honor and frenzy due to wealth, they sacrifice by sacrifices in name alone, in hypocrisy, without regard to correct injunctions, resorting to ego, power, pride, passion, and anger, full of malice, hating me in the bodies of others and in their own, of course, there, meaning hating the very notion of an infinite, non-dual, absolute reality, which is the symbol that Krishna is speaking from. These hateful, cruel, base human beings, humans in the world, the ugly ones, I ever throw into demonic species alone. Falling into demonic species, stupefied in life after life, without ever finding me, again, symbol of infinite truth, O son of Kunti, they then go to the lowest state. Pretty strongly worded.
Sounds like a closing statement at the prosecution.
Yeah, the closing statement of the prosecution is what it sounds like, Joel says. It does kind of sound like that a little bit.
Guilty.
Yeah, guilty as guilty. Anyway. And so here Swami Rama is going to say it in his words. Having explained the virtues that the aspirant should cultivate, Sri Krishna now explains that there are two kinds of people in the world. Those who are endowed with good qualities and those who are endowed with bad qualities. A little gentler than demonic, isn't it? The latter are not aware of what is good and therefore do not know how to perform good actions. They have no knowledge of either the path of action or the path of renunciation. They cannot discriminate between right and wrong. By habit, they do harmful actions and suffer. They only work for sensual enjoyments. They do not have any sense of purity. They delight in lying and do not discriminate between a lie and the truth. Outwardly, they may appear to be holy, good, and kind, but within their hearts and minds, they are not. Such people do not believe in God. They do not regard this world as an orderly creation of the powers of the Lord. They think that there is no primary cause behind this world. They think that the pleasures of the world are everything and that the world has neither been created by nor supported by God. Those ignorant people remain inflated and deluded, considering themselves to be great enjoyers.
Sounds like scientists.
It sounds like some scientists, Joel says. And remember here, we've talked before many times of the multiple uses of this word God. And so some use this word God as a being who is separate from me, who is up there somewhere in the sky or something like that. And another usage of the word is as a symbolic term for the one infinite non-dual reality whose nature is Satchitananda, existence, consciousness, bliss, etc., etc., etc. Just saying that as a reminder. So we each get to choose. They live according to a materialistic and hedonistic view of the world. They consider the world to be full of objects of enjoyment and think that they should take as much pleasure as they can. Such people continually seek the objects of enjoyment. Let me see if there's anything over here. Anybody commented anything? It's Roseanne. Hi, Roseanne. You're a little late, but hello. Or I should say right on time. The deluded ones are always competing with others in their desires to be stronger and to have more than others. They do not have enough intelligence to acknowledge the existence of others and are overrun by animosity and thoughts of destruction. Their minds remain busy in securing arms and armaments to destroy others and to become victorious. They only believe in increasing physical power and trust that physical might alone is right. Engrossed in hypocrisy and arrogance, they are deluded by their evil desires and thoughts. They are mean, selfish, vicious, and malicious. They are always puffed up with pride, with the thought that they are great and that society cannot survive without them. Such people are egotistical and think, I am the Lord of my life. I am great because I have immense wealth. They perform sacrifices and give gifts with an egotistical attitude and then boast about it. Their ideals are impure and false. They work hard to attain those goals that lead them to ruin. Doesn't Swami Rama have a beautiful way of describing this stuff? Not quite demonic, but clear. Having innumerable worries, they are never happy. Therefore, they do not have peace of mind. They believe that human life is a means for sensual enjoyment, and that is the goal of their lives. But even if they have many sensual enjoyments, they are never satisfied. They do not care whether they obtain wealth by deceptive or dishonest means, for they have no sense of justice. They have endless desires, and when they are not fulfilled, they commit crimes in order to fulfill them. Deluded by such desires, they remain distracted and dissipated and suffer hellish lives both here and hereafter. Conceited, arrogant, full of lust and anger, they disturb and destroy others. They find pleasure in being violent. Full of desires, they are always restless, and they fight and kill one another. Now, you and I looking at this, we may not be as extreme as these descriptions, but think about it. Isn't it true that we all have in us both directions of tendencies? And if we're aware of our tendencies like that, then we can choose wisely which ones to cultivate, it seems to me. The allurements of the external world are but temporary, transitory, and momentary. So no one is ever satisfied with the pursuit of mundane pleasure. Intrinsically, the human being is in search of permanent happiness, peace, and bliss. So I'm in search of a permanent supply of doses. And I know the day will come where Raj will come back and make us some more doses. And what a wonderful day that is. But we can do that with enjoyment and simplicity and joy, and not with this craziness. After examining all the objects of the external world, one finally realizes that they offer only a fragment of happiness, but they are not able to quench one's thirst. Real happiness lies within, but the majority of people are not awakened to the reality that there are other dimensions of life that are more glorious and enlightening. The aspirant should avoid the company of such people, for their influence could be injurious. So we choose wisely who we hang out with. Dosas, D-O-S-A. You don't know what a dosa is, Scott? Dosas. Perennial dosa spring, says Raj. You've never had a dosa, a D-O-S-A, Scott? You'll have to have one of these.
Indian pancake.
Joel calls them Indian pancakes.
What they are. Savory Indian pancakes.
These verses harshly condemn those who are caught up in materialism and the pursuit of sensory pleasure. They provide a strong warning to the student to avoid that way of being, to open his eyes to the dire consequences of living that way. But all is not hopeless for those who are caught up in the snares of illusions. Though they must undergo many experiences and many births and deaths to satisfy their cravings, here comes the good news. They finally become disillusioned with the mundane pleasures of the world, and they too slowly grow toward the light. That's the good news, isn't it? And let's see, I think I saw it flicker over here, so there was another comment here. No, I haven't. Well, Raj will explain it to you. Doses are very good, and Raj is a very good dosa maker, and Matri considers Raj to be her dosa guru. Matri has learned how to make a pretty wicked dosa, I can attest to, and Raj is the dosa guru. And so anyway, it's just said playfully, Scott. And so dosas are a kind of very thin, Joe calls pancake sort of thing. It's a South Indian thing made from a bean flour that it's kind of indescribable. I don't know what to say that it's like. To me, it's not like a pancake.
It's a crepe.
It's a crepe. Maybe it's a crepe, says Joe. And that's a crepe, not a crap. Anyway.
If the crepe doesn't taste good, then it's crap.
Yeah, if a crepe doesn't taste good, then it's crap. But these doses are really, really yummy, and are served alongside of some a certain kind of dal that has its own name, and so it's really yummy, very healthy, and very tasty, and it's a real treat. So maybe sometime if you're here, Scott, you can get a Raj or a Matri made dosa. If you really work it hard, you can order one up. You can come and demand that you have dosas served. But if you demand only lovingly, and then the dosas will be given lovingly. I had some Raj made dosas a couple weeks ago, and they were delicious. And in a couple of weeks from now, we get some more dosas. They have been promised. And if they're not there, well, that's okay. But this is the threefold gate of hell that destroys one's self: passion, anger, and greed. Therefore, one should give up these three. This is not about greed for dosas. It's not about intense, out of control passion for dosas. And it's not about anger if the dosa is not there. Certainly not about greed. Therefore, one should give up these three. One freed, Roseanne, there's your freed. One freed from these three doors of darkness, O son of Kunti, conducts himself toward benefaction for himself and thereby reaches the highest state. There's another comment there. Let me get it there. Okay. Raj is telling us what it's about. A mix of lentils and cream of wheat made into a dough, left overnight and baked on a pan the next day. Typically, you can eat it with lentil soup, and it is yummy. Yes, very well said, Scott. It is definitely yummy. Thank you. There's a free from Roseanne. I was missing the Roseanne free, and now we've got that. Okay, this lifetime is just a small passage in the book of life, and it is an essential preparation for the life that lies ahead. What do we have here? Another comment here. It's, yeah, okay. Raj supports Joe. It's a South Indian crepe. A South Indian crepe. And kind of really stands on its own. A crepe is actually a non-Indian dosa.
Mm-hmm.
That's a more accurate.
It stands on its own only when it's too hard.
I guess so. Those who cling to life here, who are greedy and passionately desire the objects of sense enjoyment, become angry when they are unsuccessful in obtaining those objects. So I'm playfully talking about doses. We can enjoy doses. This is not about not enjoying life. But the troublemaker is clinging to the doses. Let us not cling to doses. become angry when they are unsuccessful in obtaining those doses. Kama, krodha, and lobha, selfish desire, anger, and greed, are three negative emotions that lead the human being to unhappiness and misery here and to a life hereafter that is of the same quality as his life in the body. Having all sorts of objects of pleasure in this world, selfish and greedy people are still unsatisfied. They do not enjoy the objects of pleasure they accumulate, for they are continually afraid of losing what they already have and not gaining what they want. Selfish desire, anger, and greed are harmful emotions that need to be shunned. Such ignorant people are invariably afraid of dying. They sometimes do charitable things because they foolishly think that they will get returns after death. That is not possible. For whatever we do here in this lifetime, we carry the samskaras of our deeds with us. If one is miserable here, how can he expect to be happy in the life hereafter? Unaware of the power of the soul and lacking inner strength, one remains weak, feeble, deluded, and afraid of death. Selfish desire, anger, and greed disrupt and destroy inner strength. The aspirant should renounce these great obstacles. Selfish desire creates strong bonds of passion, anger, and greed, the three openings to hell. Sri Krishna says, O Arjuna, one who is able to renounce these three harmful habits is free from these dark openings. If the aspirant genuinely renounces these human weaknesses, he can attain the highest state. Pretty clear choice, isn't it? Krishna goes on, one who, abandoning the injunctions of the scriptures, conducts himself through actions based on desire, does not attain fulfillment or happiness or the highest state. Therefore, for you, the scripture is the authority in order to determine what ought to be done and what ought not to be done. Knowing the act as taught in the scriptural injunctions, you should perform your actions. And I'll add here a note comment that says, let's not take this as a blind faith belief, as a rule that thou shalt follow these rules, as he's talking here of scripture. But we take this stuff, we internalize it, we contemplate it on it ourselves and decide for ourselves, does this sound reasonable to me? And if this sounds reasonable, then I will live according to these standards, and then it's my choice. I'm not merely following a rule book that is given to me by somebody else, and then I am free. Right? Yes. To achieve the goal of life, one should learn to follow in the footsteps of the ancients, whose experiences are recorded in the scriptures. Now, let's again use doses and as an example. Matri wanted to know how to make a doses. So what did she do? Did she reinvent the method of making doses, or did she have the wisdom to listen to somebody else who already knew how to make doses? That's what she chose to do. And we were wanting to have oil-free cooking here in the ashram, and that was a choice. So she asked her dosa guru, Raj, about making dosas without oil. Well, this is unheard of. So what did Raj do? Raj went to his dosa guru, who is his mother. Beautiful simplicity, that. And so he apparently spoke to his mother and said, Mother, can we make dosas without oil? And I think he said something like she was not sure that could be done, had never done it, but said, let's give it a try. And discovered, behold, guess what? We can make dosas without oil. So what did Matri do in the story of learning to make dosas? She followed the wisdom of the dosa sages who came before her. That's the principle. That's why we can talk about things like dosa as beautiful, elegant, simple examples of these principles.
There's no such thing as instant doses.
There's no such thing as instant doses, says Sage Joe. Boy, that's the truth. When the doses are coming, I say, where's the doses? Raj comes in here, he pulls in here after a 6 or 7 hour car drive, and he pulls in the evening around this time of evening that it is here right now. And I'll say, where's the doses? And he tells me, you have to wait until tomorrow. You can have some for lunch tomorrow. But I want a dosa now, Raj. And he says, no, you cannot have it now. What Sage Joe just said, Swamiji, no, there is no such thing as instant doses. You have to be patient. And so I learned from that, and I patiently wait. And then at lunch the next day, there will be some nice, fresh, hot, fresh made dosas. Pretty good, isn't it? It's a pretty simple metaphor for all of this stuff we're looking at.
Yeah, for most people, instant gratification takes
instant gratification is what
takes too long.
This takes too long. I'm not waiting for a real thing dosa. I'm gonna go settle for a cheeseburger from the hamburger store. Yuck. And then we get a tummy ache or all sorts of other chronic disease problems.
That's from one cheeseburger.
Not from one cheeseburger, but we all know one cheeseburger leads to 2 cheeseburgers. And before you know it, you are in Cheeseburger Anonymous meetings.
So Saturday Night Live skit with Jim Belushi and Dan Aykroyd about Greek joint where they made cheeseburgers and they all speak Greek.
And they all speak Greek, and they're all
You'll
making
see
cheese.
it on Saturday Night.
The authentic scriptures serve as authorities like dosa gurus and guide the aspirant, one who does not follow the teachings of the great dosa maker sages, but instead follows his own whims, does not attain happiness or the goal of life or dosas. The scriptures are the testimony to guide the aspirant, enabling him to know what to do and what not to do. Any experience during sadhana should be examined carefully. The validity of the aspirant's experiences during spiritual sadhana should be verified by scriptural knowledge. Many have trodden the path of spirituality before us and have left accurate records that help one to know if he is properly progressing on the path. Many fake teachers perform so-called miracles that are never referred to in the scriptures. They perform those tricks to acquire a large following just to satisfy their egos. The seeker should be careful and should not follow a modern teacher without knowing him well and comparing his teachings with those of the authentic scriptures. The scriptures guide the aspirant if they are properly understood and not interpreted merely according to one's own convenience. Here ends the 16th chapter, in which the yoga of discrimination between spirituality and ignorance is described. Leaves us in anticipation of chapter 17. Chapter 17 will be next of the 18 symbolic days of teaching and learning. And the highlight, the crescendo of chapter 17, does anybody remember what the crescendo is? The end of the movie, so to speak, the end of chapter 17. Anybody remember what that is? Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. Nobody remembers. I'm going to put it here and surprise you. And as soon as you see it, you will say, oh, I remember that. There you go. Raj got it. Om Tat Sat. This is the sort of bottom line after all these days of Arjuna sitting there with the great sage Krishna, absorbing the teachings and learning to practice. It finally comes to the crescendo, and that the whole thing is summarized in Om Tat Sat. And where do we find that Sat, that existence? We find it there at the end of the Om. In the silence after the Om, we find the Sat. Om, Tat, Om, that is Sat. There it is, okay? I know you know that. Now everybody knows it. And it's sort of the message of the dosas, isn't it, Scott, huh? Om Tat Sat is the message of the sages and the message of Krishna and the message of all the wise dosa gurus throughout human history, huh? Pretty fun, huh? I can tell Joe is over here on the couch and his hands are in prayer position here. I know that internally he's praying for dosas. He's scheming. He says he's scheming. How do I get a dosa? Well, you have to come back around Thanksgiving time when Raj is here and be sweet.
You want me to be nice?
You have to be nice.
I don't know.
It's going to be a challenge, I know, but if you'll be nice, maybe you can get a dosa out of Raj.
All right.
But you'll have to be nice. Right, Raj?
All right.
It's official. You have to be nice.
Okay.
Practice all of these nice things that we just went through. So anyway, let's pause there. To be continued next time around. Thank you all for playing. Thank you for visiting. Wasn't this a fun journey tonight? I enjoyed it thoroughly. Thank you for coming and showing up and playing with me. Otherwise, I'd be sitting here. I was going to say all alone, but it would just be me and Joe. That would be okay, but it's nice that you all came too. Yes, thank you, Rosalind, for playing. Hello, Marydell. Bye, Marydell. You have to prepare. Are you talking to me that I have to prepare, Joe, or are you saying you have to prepare, comma, Joe? I'm going to take it that way, that he's saying, Joe, you have to prepare. I can't prepare. It's sort of a hopeless situation. What am I going to do with Joe? Yes, thank you. Yes, and so remember where the doses come from, Scott.
Come from Raj.
Bye, Nilesh. And so
They come from Raj.
They come from Raj. And there again is the Om Tat Sat. I'm going to put that up there and let that be the last word, okay? As a reminder of the cliffhanger coming up next time, okay? Mm-hmm. Thank you all for playing. Bye-bye. In honor of Matri and the Duchies, Dewey. Bye-bye. Om Tat Sat. Om Tat Sat. Bye-bye.